Okay. Right. Okay, so in today's last part of Module 5, we are looking at internal constellation, and we have a training session with it. We are looking at how to work with floor anchors. We are deepening our knowledge about systemic coaching. We are looking at breathing exercises and guided meditation and how to incorporate that in your work. And we finally look at some special situations that can come up that we want to address, so you are aware what to do with it. And we have heaps of exercises today as well. So internal constellation means that everything you have, absolutely everything you have learned about family constellation and also spiritual healing, trauma release, everything you can work with your client in a one-on-one situation without any tools or props or any subject at all. Yeah, everything can be also visualized by the client. It has the same impact as if they see it. And this is a phenomenon that I'm sure you know has also been used by athletes or race drivers, that they are, closing their eyes and they imagine to drive the course that they are about to drive over and over again, and that is training the body as if they would sit in a car. And that is the same on a spiritual level, on a soul level. Whatever has been visualized is happening for the soul. Yeah, they don't need to see a figurine. They don't need to see another person representing it. It is happening right there, right here, the moment it is visualized. And this is why it's extremely powerful. However, you have to see what they see in order to facilitate. You have to, you are still facilitating. So you are not seeing anything. You're just seeing the client. So they need to be able to convey and describe what they see to you in a way that you can see it in 3D in front of you. No? So that is, of course, very challenging. And this is why this is coming probably last in your work after you have worked a lot in person, that you have this 3D vision of that, what the client says. So you can constellate as if the client would move figurines around. Yeah? So you see all the people that you're constellating with, that you are facilitating with when the client is internally constellating in front of your inner eyes as if they would be real. Every movement, every gesture, everything. Yeah. So then, because this is what you need to observe in order to guide the client through the family system, right? To find back to the orders of love, find back balance. It's also called the spiritual constellation. Bert Hellinger has done that in public in his workshops, and he called it. Of course, there was a German word, but the English translation would probably be a spiritual or constellation. I prefer to say internal. It's more neutral, right? Because everything is internalized in this case. So the question is, who is facilitating, who's constellating, and who is representing? Well, you are facilitating. You are staying the facilitator. That's the training. That's what I want you to do. You are staying the facilitator at all times. So your client is themselves. They are the client. They are constellating, and they are also representing, as with the figurine board, as we showed yesterday. They are in an internal constellation, also representing each and every family member. Yeah. And they do that naturally. Yeah, they do that naturally because the only thing they need to do is to tell you what they see. Yeah, and when you suggest to say words or have some gestures done or movements, then you would ask them, are they doing it? Can they do it? And does it feel right? Right? So you're on the right track. And if it doesn't feel right or they can't do it, then okay, you have to find something else. So the session is nothing different than any other one-on-one session. You have an intro and a setup. You don't need much for a setup, by the way. The good thing is about an internal constellation, once you are very experienced in your facilitation skills and you have this ability gained to visualize in 3D what your client is seeing internally, then it is something fantastic because you don't need anything. You need no special setup. You don't need any props. You do nothing. You just need the client. He needs to be comfortable and he needs to be able to visualize. Not every client can do that, right? So some clients, they just don't give any answers. They just say, I see nothing, or I don't feel anything. Well, with them, you cannot do internal constellation. You have to use a figurine or other people to represent. But most people, in my experience, are capable, once they try it, to internalize a constellation. So you need nothing. You need a chair for your client. That's it. So easy. Of course, intro, if it's the first constellation, would be the same. That you introduce family constellations, the orders of love, or something, whatever you want to convey in the session. Then you have the session. We will do a training session, so you would see it. It's very simple. You're following all the steps you have learned. There's nothing special. You don't even need the client in alpha state. They just need to be relaxed and capable of visualizing, basically. And also describing what they visualize. So that's another skill that the client needs, right? So finding the words to describe it to you. And then the closing is also very simple because you just say you leave it there and ask the client to open the eyes again. Give them a few seconds to wrap their eyes or whatnot because they had their eyes closed for a while. Give them a glass of water and done. No, so easy. Very easy to do. We probably do the training session before we do the exercise. So let me go ahead with the floor anchors here. Have you heard the term before? Have you done that? Maybe you have another term for it. It's quite a common method, which I love to incorporate in my one-on-one session mainly for decision making. So floor anchors are when you, let's say, put sheets of paper where you write something on, upside down on the floor, and then you ask your client to step on it, and then you observe the client, their body language, how they move, how the body moves, how the body responds. It's like a muscle testing, really. It's kind of the same. It has the same background as muscle testing, kinesiology. And that is fantastic for example, the best thing for decision making, for example. So for decision making, you can use figurines, you can use the tools you have, of course, but I found it is much more efficient, quicker, and also fun to use floor anchors to make decisions. And it's a lovely addition if you have a client. Let's say they have booked 1.5 hours with you, and you were guiding them through a constellation, and you didn't even take an hour for the whole thing, and you feel like you can't let your client go. They have paid for 1.5 hours. Then you could do something like that. That wouldn't interfere with the family constellation. That would be an addition that the client certainly like, and most of us they find something to work on when in terms of decision making. If you think about it, right? There's always something we need to decide one way or the other. I like also to use floor anchors when a client comes with several issues. And sometimes I remember a client, he came with 5 issues. Like he was like, okay, I want to look at this, and I want to look at this, and I want to look at this, and maybe that, and even maybe that. And then I thought, okay, let's do floor anchors and see what the field says, what we are working with, right? So we basically wrote on each sheet of paper one of the issue, turned it around. Nobody knew, you don't know which anchor is. Nobody knows that. Your client doesn't know, you doesn't know. It's all mixed up. And then, I let the client step on it, and then she and I observed her, and then she would, I show you how that looks like. She would react negatively to some floor anchors and positively to others. And the most positive one is the one that we go with. Yeah, that's decision made. And then we knew which issue we're going to work on with family constellation. So there are a couple of tips and tricks to work with floor anchors. First of all, use short words. Yeah, at best one. Of course, there are decisions to be made with yes and no. That's great. You have just 2 sheets of paper, 2 words, fantastic. But most of the time, let's say somebody comes to you and has to decide which job to take. So they are in a current job. Let's say they're employed. They're in a current job. They have maybe an offer for another job, which they're not sure if they should take it. Then they have seen a job that they probably prefer, but they haven't been offered it. And then they might even consider to be self-employed, right? So you have 4 choices already here. So just write on the sheet of paper, current, offered, potential, and self-employed, like short words. That's much better to work with because the field doesn't know exactly what it is about. Add an empty sheet. So don't only use the ones that the client comes with that they want to decide. Like in this example with the 4 jobs, you would actually use 5 sheets of paper. Yeah, 1 empty, because how do you know? How does it? Maybe there's another option. Yeah, or maybe there is not the right time for any decision yet. So this blank sheet of paper, when this is chosen, when that's the one that is chosen by the field, then that is kind of opening the whole question up again. It's questioning the question that the client has. Yeah. So that's ideal. I always use an empty sheet of paper. It's really, really adding value to the floor anchors. Don't use, if you can, not more than 3 or 4. You can 5 is fine, but I'm not saying don't use 8 or 10 floor anchors. Yeah, the reaction is not so. You cannot really tell what's the best one. So if I remember a client wanted to buy a car, and he came to a session with pre-drawn sheets of paper, and I think he brought 8. He brought 8 sheets of paper, 8 cars. He had seen that he was considering to buy, and then I said to him, okay, let's dense it down to 4. So take out the 4 least attractive ones, and so then we work with the 4 plus an empty sheet of paper. Be prepared before you ask the client to step on the first paper. Yeah, because the first reaction of the body is what you want. Normally, it's the first reaction. And if you are still putting papers down and get yourself ready and the client's already stepping on the first one, then that's what you missed. You have missed that already. Yeah. So make sure the client doesn't step on it. Make sure the client sits somewhere and waits for your okay. You prepare everything, then you stand. It's good to have the floor anchors in a row or in a larger circle, and you can observe the side of the client. You don't want to stand in the back of the client. You want to stand next to the client and turn towards one left or right side of the client, because you want to see basically movements that go backwards and forwards. This is a body language, right? This is like a muscle testing. When something is positive, the body goes forward. When something is negative, the body swings backwards, even if it's small movements. So you don't want to miss that. When you see that the client will not feel it. You cannot ask them, what do you feel? They don't feel that. It's what you observe that, right? And then there's also a swaying that can happen. That's of course insecurity, and that's normally not a positive sign. And then a kind of a collapsing in the body is possible, even if it's subtle. So that's also not a good sign. So you want to be ready to observe the first reaction and draw your conclusion out of that. And then you can ask the client, how does it feel? So don't ask them too early. Look at the body first, because the body is absolutely accurate. The body will give you the right answer. If you don't see any body signs, because there's absolutely no sign, then you ask, how do you feel? And when they say, I feel uneasy or something, of course, you interpret that as a no, more or less. Or if they feel grounded, is normally a good sign. They can feel grounded, they can feel happy, they can feel content, peaceful. You know, these are all good signs. Now, when you have gathered all this information from each floor anchor, then you just make up your mind. What is the best one? Which was the best reaction? Which one was the most positive one? And which one was the most negative one? And then you just take, you can turn together with the client all the negatives around first and say, okay, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. And then you'll just leave the one for last that is a positive one. Or you just grab the positive one and just discard all the others and just say, okay, it is this. This is the decision, right? So when we, for example, think about what issue the client wants to constellate, and we have 4 choices, then I would only pick the one that was positive and say, okay, we work with that. I wouldn't bother with the others. But with this client with the jobs, they may want to know if they, let's say, the client with the job shows the one offered, the job offered, yeah, they might still wonder if they can get self-employed, so they want to know their reaction of self-employed as well. You know, how negative or how positive was it, even if it was not the first choice. So you know, you go with the situation and what the client really wants to look at, and deal with that then when it comes up. So we have an exercise now and a demonstration. So I don't need to demonstrate it for all anchors. I think that's quite straightforward, but I will demonstrate an internal constellation. And then after that, we will have an exercise. You two go together in a breakout room, and you will decide. So one is the client, one is the client, one is the facilitator, and the facilitator decides. The client talks about the issue, and the facilitator decides if you want to provide a floor anchor or an internal constellation. And then you're actually doing it. So you're actually starting to do it. If we have time, you can go. You have 10 minutes for each. So if you have time, you can go through it. You can do that. If we are running out of time, you might have to break it up. But you definitely have the chance to complete the exercise. Okay. So now let me stop sharing, and let's do an internal constellation with one of you. Who wants to volunteer?
I'll go. I have to think of something. Nothing's coming to my mind, Maya.
Okay. Maybe
Do you have one?
Kimberly or something?
Yeah, something I've wanted to constellate is suicide in my family. Is that something that would work for
Sure.
this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything you want to constellate works in an internal constellation as well. Absolutely everything. I haven't seen any. I wouldn't know what not. You are following literally the facilitating a family constellation with your eyes closed, with keeping the eyes of the client closed. That's all. Okay. All right. So keep your eyes closed, Kimberly. Try to relax as much as possible so you don't feel your pain in the neck or anything like that. Take a couple of breaths. And then you think about the suicide pattern in your family. Just connect with that. And then you choose, or you choose, you see who's coming up when you think of the suicide pattern in your family. Might be one person, might be more than one. And then you also see yourself in this same realm, this room or the space where you are visualizing your family members coming in that are in any way, shape, or form come up when you think of the suicidal pattern in your family. What do you see?
I see me sort of in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
off to the left a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of in front of him.
Can you
I
repeat
see,
after I see me in the middle, please?
yeah, I'm sorry. I see me in the middle,
Yeah.
and then diagonally towards to the right in front of me, I see my brother,
Mm-hmm.
and then sort of diagonally to the left in front of him, I see my mom's cousin.
Mm-hmm. Okay, where are you looking at?
I'm just kind of looking at the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So you are there, and to your right is your brother, and to the left is the cousin of your mother. Are you looking at one of those, or where are you looking at?
I'm kind of looking at both of them. The one to the left isn't to the left of me, just kind of a little bit to the left
Ah.
of my, feels like
Mm-hmm.
a zigzag.
Ah, I see. Okay, good. And how do you feel when you look at them?
Just sort of matter of fact.
Mm-hmm. Right. Where's your brother looking at?
He's looking down.
Mm-hmm. And the cousin?
The cousin's looking at my brother.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Look down where your brother looking at and see who's coming up. Where are you both looking at?
I see a baby down there.
Yeah. Describe the baby.
It's just very little.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell if it's a boy or girl. I feel more like a boy, but then it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
might be a girl.
How little is it? Is it already born?
It feels like it is,
Mm-hmm.
but not very old.
Mm-hmm. Few days old?
Maybe a little older than that, maybe like a few weeks to a
Mm-hmm.
month.
Okay. Very good. Has your brother changed when the baby appeared?
No, still looking at it.
Mm-hmm. And the cousin? Any movement there?
The cousin's looking at the baby.
Very good. Look in his face. What is he expressing? What kind of emotion?
Which one's face?
Cousin.
The cousin's face. Like really, really distraught.
What is his
Kind of-
body doing? Yeah, go.
It's like almost in shock.
Yeah. What is his body doing?
Shaking, shivering.
Very good. Very good. Where's the baby looking at?
At my brother.
Mm-hmm. And you, have you changed?
I've moved closer to the baby to look at it closer.
Very good. Look at the cousin and say to him, I can see the baby.
I can see the baby.
It's here.
It's here.
It's with us.
It's with us.
What's he doing now?
Kind of looking up a little bit.
Hmm? Who?
The cousin.
Oh, yeah.
My mom's.
Yeah. Is he moving?
Not moving, but looking different, looking more alert.
Mm-hmm. Say to him, he belongs to us
He belongs to us
because of what you did.
because of what you did.
And you belong to us too.
And you belong to us too.
Any change in him?
The cousin sort of turned the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Looking away?
Well, if we're here, and he was looking at us, he is looking.
Yeah. What's your brother doing?
Picking up the baby.
Mm-hmm. Say to your brother, the baby belongs to him,
The baby belongs to him.
not the brother, the other one. Say to your brother, the baby doesn't belong to you. The baby belongs to him.
The baby doesn't belong to you. The baby belongs to him. The cousin turned back to face.
And your brother?
Is okay with that.
What's he doing with the baby?
It's there if the cousin wants to get it.
Are they? Can you see how the brother gives the baby to the cousin?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but the cousin's not. It's like the cousin wants it, but doesn't have the tools to hold it.
Ah, I see. Okay. Ask your brother to lay the baby down in front of the cousin.
It's late. He's late in. The cousin lays down with the
Right.
baby.
Very good. Very good. What's your brother doing?
Walking back towards me.
Good. Take his hand and say to your brother, look, now they are together,
Look, now they are together,
where they belong,
where they belong,
and you are free.
and you are free.
How does he feel?
Relieved.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Turn him around and you both walk away from them. Good? Very good. Okay, we'll leave it here. Very good. So how was that, Kimberly, to visualize it? Was it easy?
Yeah, it was really powerful.
Right.
I don't know if you could hear it, but a thunderstorm started here. And it's very like these big thunders would hit right when you began and you said, choose someone to represent suicide in your family, and went boom. And I was like, it was meant to be. So it was kind of cool.
Very, very
Yeah.
good. Awesome. So yeah, so you have seen we are strictly following the orders of love, the pattern of dynamics. We are not diverting from that at all. The only danger, I think, is when you do internal constellation, is that you are starting to come into a guided meditation. So you have to avoid that at all costs. This is not a guided meditation, because then you are not going with the field anymore, but you are creating you are visualizing as well a story that you then want to convey to your client. That's not what we do in an internal constellation. Yeah. So just be aware of that. You ask, what are they doing? And then you go with this as if you would see a representative doing it. Okay. So your time for your exercise. You decide if you want to work with floor anchors or internal constellation. It could be something lighthearted. It doesn't need to be always so deep. It could be really to decide if you go out for dinner tonight or whatever. So
Okay.
choose something and see how far you go. I check in with you after 10 minutes and see how far you are. You may have more time. We are a bit flexible in this group, of course. We have more time. So off you go.
There was a little bit of hiccup, Maya.
What?
Definitely want to. There's a little bit of like we didn't think something through, which I want to bring up as far as like how we were supposed to loop that together.
Yeah. Go.
Should I go first, Kimberly? Is that okay?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I facilitated Kimberly, and we did the 4 anchors, and it was about bringing some coping skills or tools when she's on a flight and there's turbulence. And so because Kimberly is a little not mobile right now, we used almost a little bit of her imagination as far as how she would picture the 4 pillars.
Yeah.
And
so did you do an internal constellation or a floor anchor?
Floor anchor.
Yeah.
And so the 4 things were the breathing, visualization, pillow, and blank.
Yeah.
And when I got to the point where Kimberly was done Oh, go ahead, Kimberly.
I was gonna say our power might go out. It started to flicker, so
Oh.
it's a really bad storm. I'm just letting you know that our power might go out. So if I
Okay.
disappear, it's our
No
power.
worries. We get you back.
Okay.
When it came time for Kimberly, she went through the 4 different ones. In my mind's eye, I kind of sort of had an idea of what was being experienced, but then I thought about it. I don't know in her imagination where she put the 4 pieces of paper, 4 anchors.
Oh, well, okay. So you don't need to mix up. You don't need to mix up like internal constellation and anchors. If you do it, I should have mentioned that. If you do it online, which normally don't, if you do it online, you would, Kimberly, you would write the papers for her. She doesn't need to step on it, and you would hold one in your hand, and then you would ask Kimberly how she feels.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So you kind of do that for her.
Okay.
As a
You kind
surrogate.
of did, right? You felt him out. You were kind of looking at him and feeling him out.
I
Yeah.
did. I was, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
I
how
didn't
you go
know.
around. And
Okay.
what was the result of that?
The pillow, bringing the pillow on and being able to
Hug
clutch
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
That was
That's great. Awesome. How did
Yeah.
that go for you other than that complication with the online?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Fun, eh?
It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
And how did you do that, Kimberly? How did you go?
Well, we did the same thing with Suman, but she wrote on pieces of paper and stood on them.
Yeah.
And then she moved the camera so I could watch her. And she was wondering about meal prepping, if she should meal prep this week. And so it was like to do it, to not do it.
Meal prep.
Yeah, like chop
Yeah.
all her veggies and fruits and
Ah,
stuff.
yeah. Okay.
And then, or just do part of it or not do it at all. And it was interesting because the first one she stood on, I saw her body tilt forward.
Yeah.
So it was positive, but she didn't feel connected to it. And then the second one, I saw her tilt forward and she did feel connected to it. And the first one was to meal prep, and the second one was to not meal prep. And so, I saw her as connected to both of them. And she said emotionally, like to not meal prep felt so good to her. Like she was relieved to not have the stress. But I was saying that maybe it was her body that was answering the first one, like wanting the nourishment. And then the second one was like a different part of her wanting.
And did you
it,
choose a third one as well?
Yeah, the third one was to do some, and then the blank one, and those ones didn't
work. Ah, yeah. Either or.
And I'm traveling this week, Maya. So that's why I was like, do I want the headache of preparing everything? Or So, and it felt good to just like, okay, feel less relieved, feel more relieved that I didn't have to do extra work tomorrow.
So you're saying she was moving forward the same way on both of the sheets?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel so connected to the first one.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
why I was thinking.
In this case, I would probably, if I see the same body movement on 2 sheets, then I would take more time to see how the body would actually continue to move. I would just take more time. It's kind of like a draw, if you will, for me.
Yeah.
So I would just say, go back on the first one, take the other 2 out, go back on the first one, do it again, observe it for longer, and then on the second one. And
even if the participant was reporting that they were having a more positive experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I would first, if the body does the same, so in this exercise, I always go with the body.
Okay.
You know how you can also test if food is good for you when you go shopping and grocery shopping or something? You just let's say you don't know if you want the dairy yogurt or the non-dairy yogurt, and what's better for you. You grab the dairy yogurt, you hold it in front of your center part, And then you observe what your body's doing, going backwards or forward.
Mhm.
And if it goes backwards, it's not good for you. And if it goes forward, it's good for you. So if it goes backwards with the dairy yogurt, you put it away, you grab the non-dairy yogurt, put it in front of you, and see, most likely the body will go forward. So that's the decision then. You can do that in any situation. It's really fun. Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay, well, that's great. Good that you had a good experience with this exercise. We do have more time. So we do another exercise, and this time you guide an internal constellation. Yeah?
Okay.
So you have another 10 minutes each, and you go through the process of a guide, not what am I saying, guided meditation, no. An internal constellation. Don't do a guided meditation. That was a slip of my tongue. It's an internal constellation, yeah? Yeah. So you perform for each other. I will pop in. You don't need to talk to me. I just pop in and see what you're doing in between and see where you are at. And when you're done, you swap. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Back to your room. So the sun that didn't take Kimberly out, maybe now.
Hope not.
No.
Oh, there she Hi.
Very good. So share with me, what have you experienced?
Well, so the first one, I was the facilitator, and Zoomin had a dream about an old boyfriend last night. So she decided to see what was up, with him. And so it just came out that he, she still had a place in her heart for him. And she thought it was the distance that kept them apart, but we realized it wasn't just distance. And really, it was probably all along him not feeling worthy of you. And so, we couldn't get him to see his worth. And so we just honored each other and what they shared and sort of let it be.
So you worked with which words?
Like how we left it?
No, which words did you use to work with Sumin in this situation?
I see you.
Nothing else?
Oh no, there was more. I'm trying to remember.
He said, like, I take responsibility for what was mine.
Yeah. What is the words that you need to apply when you finish a relationship?
We said thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we said thank you for what we shared.
Yeah. Thank you. Very good. And how was it internalizing this?
It was good. It was, yeah, it was good. It was definitely, he's apologized in the past for how his behavior was, and I knew there was a little bit more to it. And I always felt like it was that he almost felt like he wasn't good enough.
And how was it to internalize it? Were you able to clearly see?
Yeah.
And convey to the facilitator what you saw?
Yeah. I saw him physically, saw the affect, saw the small movements and the gestures. Yes.
Great. Awesome. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other way around, how was that?
So I facilitated Kimberly with her aunt, and it was really interesting because first Kimberly couldn't even look at the aunt, and we were able to slowly get her to just acknowledge and say to the aunt, "Can you please stop?" And we kind of sort of moving.
The
aunt was moving back and forth.
How would you positively formulate that?
How could I positively formulate that?
She did say stand still.
Oh yeah, I did say that. But is that positive though?
No.
What are the words you would use?
Can you please stand still?
Don't need to please to your aunt. No?
Need a
Mm.
So tell me the situation. There was the aunt was moving around and Kimberly was standing there.
Uh-huh. But Kimberly could not face the aunt while the aunt was going back and forth.
she was moving so fast it was making me dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then I asked Kimberly if she
So
can
what would
turn
be the solution here? Who's missing? You always look at who's missing. Right?
the mom.
There is a reason why the aunt cannot stand still. This is the third person you need to add as a facilitator.
Mm.
You cannot
it be
just
the mom?
make her do something she wouldn't want to do. Like if a representative is moving around, they are moving around. You have to acknowledge that. You cannot just, oh, I want them to stand still.
Ah,
That's not facilitating.
who would it
Understand?
be? Would it be the mom or no?
No, we don't need to know that. We have to add
A
the
third
third
person.
person that makes the aunt moving around and being unrest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So
have
how
to
would
understand that family constellation is about finding who is not acknowledged. Yeah.
So it would be, we would add the cause, what's causing her
Yeah.
to not be stuck.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you will. Yeah. Right.
How would have I've asked that, Maya?
Would just have asked in an internal constellation. Would have asked, okay, picture the missing person that makes the aunt move around unrest.
Okay.
Would be exactly the same as if you would ask a representative in a workshop, can please or not please get up and stand over there. You don't even need to say who that is, but you know it is the one who is the source of her unrest.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's very important that you understand that for the next year that you're on the training, where you put everything into action, the basics of facilitating, as opposed to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the relationship issue, you and your ex, there was probably just this thank you missing. That's it. Just the thank you. That's fine. You don't need to add your new partner. You could. Well, I would probably have added the new partner, but you don't need to. Hmm? You normally don't work with two people other than an interrupted movement towards the mother. In a family constellation, we at least need to look at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Not to start with, but definitely once we are not stopping with 2 people in a constellation, other than an interrupted movement that we just perform to the textbook. Yeah, and little things like releasing an ex-partner or something like that. Yes, yeah. But a true family constellation, like you go into a family constellation by adding people. No,
Mm-hmm.
right? Understood?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Good, awesome. So lots of things learned already in the first 1.5 hours. Anything else you wanted to ask regarding this exercise? You're good? Right. Okay, so let's go in our break for 10 minutes, and then we are looking at systemic coaching and constellation, organization constellation. See you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's look at systemic coaching and organization constellation in more detail. We have, I don't know whether you remember, what we have already touched on it in module 1. Do you remember when that was? In what context we talked about organization constellation? You are muted.
Was it in module 2, Maya?
Maybe in module 2 as well. I'm referring here. Yeah, it was in module 2. Yeah, you're right, Suman. Yes, I thought it was in module 1. No, it was in module 2. When we talked about the order in families,
Mm-hmm.
the second order, yeah, you're right. That's exactly right. Do you also remember what we talked about?
I guess not.
Well, 1 out of 2. Very good. When we were looking at the order of precedence, who comes first in a family system, then we have also looked at organizations and how the order of precedence applies onto an organization. And that means that because we don't have like people by birth, like it's not that the oldest guy in the organization comes first. In an organization, it is that the one who is there for the longest comes first. So I just recap quickly before we go into the other content, that the order of precedence in organizations is that who was there first comes first. It doesn't matter where they're working, if they were the owners or in a leading position or just a worker, who was there first comes first. That doesn't mean they have the highest salary. That doesn't mean they have the most responsibility. It just means the honor and respect aspect, yeah, when we constellating needs to be observed and obeyed in a constellation when we are doing this for an organization. And that is already right there the most common problem in organizations that is causing an imbalance throughout the whole organization. Because this order is not respected, because it's also not seen, it's not even considered in most organizations. Yeah. And of course, large organizations get more complicated and complicated. So that's one aspect of the orders of love, second order of love, that is different in a company or an organization. The second aspect is that when we are thinking of father, mother, child, that the father's on the right, the mother on the left, and then the children on the left of the mother in the orders of love, because the father, let's say the energy, not every father does this, but the male energy or the fatherly love is to secure the family, provide for them, give stability and security to the family. And the same is in an organization. The department who is securing the organization, who's structuring it, who gives the structure, yeah, they come first for the ones who are working. So that is in most organizations the administration, and that's another problem that is often overlooked in organization, because the administration has barely a stand in an organization. It's all about the people working there, like the ones who are actually providing the service or the product, or it's about the shareholders or the founders, or it's about the customers at best. But the administration is often not honored and put on the right place. And that's the second most common imbalance in organizations. And the third most common overlooked parts of an organization are the founders and or the customers. Because when you have a client coming with a problem in an organization, it is most often with another department, a colleague, a boss. That's what they normally look at. So they are looking at internal stuff. And when you then only constellate what they talk about, you end up with representatives of some employees, maybe the CEO or something like that. And that's all evolving around themselves. There is no solution. Yeah. So if proper organization constellation includes in the orders who came first, who's securing the organization, and the beneficiaries of it, the customers, they need to be included. Yeah. let's say you have a company that had a founder, and it was a small company, whatever, producing shoes. Yeah. So there was a founder, he was a shoemaker, and then he expanded, and then he had somebody for his admin, maybe his wife, doing all the back office stuff. And then he had an apprentices, and then the apprentices has been employed, and this is how this shoemaker grew. Yeah. And then he had to employ people for the administration because it became too much for his wife. Yeah, he had to employ more shoemakers because he got old, and he made enough money anyhow, so they didn't want to work anymore. So it goes, right? And then at one stage, this company goes public because it has great designs and it became fashionable, and and then of course, and then it went public, and now the owners of the company are shareholders, and he's just this part of a shareholder. Now, when you're constellating a company like this, let's say one of the shoemakers or one of the they have a designer department, one of the designers come to you with help because they feel they don't get what they deserve, or they are always in trouble with their boss or something like that. Yeah, it is very easy to, and that most systemic coachings do that. Not us, of course, because we are trained in family constellation, the orders of Bert Hellinger. But most systemic coaches would look, those coaches would only look at him, the designer. And they would say, okay, what are your options? You work there, you are not happy. What are your options? Where are other companies you can go to? Is there something you can add to your skills, that you have more qualification? Is there another department in your company that you want to go to? Do you want to take a sabbatical? This is coaching. Yeah. That's what people do when they coach. Now, when they say, which is a brand new thing, I'm offering systemic coaching, they would look at this guy, this designer. They would say, okay, you're working there. Tell me about your colleagues. Yeah, who are your colleagues? Who is your boss? And then they would say, okay, they would look at the individual, this designer, in the context of his workspace. Yeah, but his workspace is only a few people around him that they are mentioning. Yeah, and they call that systemic coaching. Now we go another step in our systemic coaching. We go another step further because we are constellating organizations, and the method of Bert Hellinger means that we are looking at everyone in the system. Everyone has a place. Yeah. And that goes from the founder, from this old shoemaker who is now a stakeholder, all the way to the last apprentices that has been employed. That doesn't mean we need to look at all these thousands of people. That just means that we have in the back of our mind the picture that they all belong, and that we bring them all in when necessary. Yeah. And other than family constellation facilitator, skillful, well-trained family constellation facilitator in the method of Bert Hellinger, nobody's doing that. And the deep impact it has is astounding if you do it. Yeah. So we would, in this little example that I just made up, in this little example, we would ask the designer, okay, so you have frictions with your boss, right? So we would place a boss. Then we would ask, how's about the administration? Yeah. Do you have to do anything with the administration? They would probably say, well, I guess so, because they sent me my page slip or something like that. Yeah. And then we say, okay, this is a representative for the administration. How about the founder? Is there a founder? And they said, well, we are a public company, we have shareholders. And then you said, you would ask them, but when did it start, this business? Was there a founder? Yeah, and then they would say, oh yeah, I read in the company history that there is actually this guy, this old shoemaker 50 years ago or something, founded this. And we say, haha, okay, so we have a representative, a figurine also for the founder. and then one for the shareholders, right? And then one for the other designers or shoemakers, and one for the shoemakers, and then, of course, one for the customers. And then, and only then, we have the full picture of what's going on there. And we can use all the tools of family constellation to do an organization constellation. We don't need always to know who is who. And in the back of our minds, we just know the organization this designer is living in is just a reflection of their family system, because this is how the world goes. You are attracted to the same kind of energy that you are used to. And when you come from a certain structure in your family system, you take that with you where you go. And you will especially reflect that in your workplace, where you spend most of your time. Yeah? You don't need to tell them that. They don't come to you to learn about family constellation. They want a solution from you. But you know that. And I have had, I don't know, maybe half, if not more, of the organization constellation that I'm starting with the client, we are ending up with the mother. You know? So don't shy away from that if it is appropriate to add the mother, because that is where the solution comes from. Yeah. So it is absolutely interlinked, because when you are putting representatives for the organization on the board, they are automatically also representing family members of their family system, without you needing to know who, until it becomes obvious. And when it becomes obvious, then you can also work with the family member. Okay, so far so good. So that was just an explanation how we use family constellation to help individuals within an organization. And please take that home. It is always about the people that are not mentioned. That's what you're looking for. Yeah. We talked about the order in organization and what makes it unbalanced. That is, for example, when in our little example, when the old shoemaker is not honored. Yeah. It is enough that there is somewhere in the hall a picture of him, yeah, and just a brief description. That's great, and maybe in annual meetings when there are or annual work dues or whatever, when his name is mentioned first, yeah, that is already uplifting the organization by far, yeah, because they give honor and respect to where it belongs, yeah, and they will get the blessing from the founder for that. The other unbalance is the customers are not acknowledged. The organization is revolving around itself. Yeah, nobody's really thinking about the customers. Everybody's thinking to secure their place, get more salary, fight with whatever, extinguish this fire over there in the company, and so on. And that is. And that then, of course, the customers are standing for what family member can we say the customers stand for? They are giving purpose to the organization. Without customers or clients, there is no organization. Yeah, they are as important as the founder. They give the purpose to it. Another imbalance in the organization. So how you see that is once you add the customer, you will see that the figurines are moving. You will see that at least one of them will look at the customers. And that's the one you work with, because they are acknowledging that the customers are part of the organization and that they are actually also the foundation of the organization. So that will move the constellation far when you add the customer. And then the problems arise and make an organization unbalanced if somebody with a higher education comes into a department, yeah, who is younger and less and new to the organization, as opposed to somebody else who is longer there, maybe has not the highest education, yeah, but he comes first. That doesn't mean that he has to have the job of the one with higher qualification. That means that the one with the higher qualification has to honor the other one as being first, yeah. And if it's just a picture in their mind, they don't even need to say that, soul movement. It's just a picture in their mind that they honor everybody who was there first because they came last, yeah, for what they have done for the company, and that they have actually made it possible that this last one who came as an addition has a position there, has space there. Every single other one who was there before, including the customers and the shareholders, they have made it possible. No? So that is the holistic view, that the systemic view that we have, that the client hasn't. Yeah, that you can help them with. Yeah, and then we work with them exactly like we did with the words, yes, please, thank you. We're looking at this order. We're looking who's missing. We are looking what moves the souls. And then we conclude the constellation when we have seen a movement towards unity, towards reconciliation or honor and respect. And that's it. Right. Ready for a demonstration? Okay. So let me stop sharing here and share with you my figurine board. There we go. Right, what organization shall we look at? It could be an organization you have worked for before, or an organization you're interested in, or one of your family member works in, or maybe your partner works in, or anything really. Or we just take a random one. IKEA. I don't know. You give me some ideas.
Can you do governments like politics?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, could you do the Florida governor? Could you do Ron DeSantis?
Who?
His name is Ron DeSantis.
What's he? Who is he?
He's the governor of Florida.
And he's a member of a party?
The Republican Party.
Do you want to look at the government, like an organization of the government, or the party that he's part of?
I guess maybe his administration.
His administration.
Can you look at his administration?
Let's see how we go there. It's
Okay.
just a demonstration anyhow, so we don't need to come to a conclusion here anyhow. All right, so choose a figurine for this guy, governor. Who would be the client in our example? Is it you as being a member of the public?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay,
A
good.
member of society, yeah. So
Okay.
am I picking for him? I'm picking for him first.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The green one in the back facing away.
The large one?
Yeah.
Okay. Then one for you.
I like the little baby blue one.
That one.
Yeah.
Then for his party.
The black knobby one.
What is a naughty one?
Knob, like knobby, like it's got a
No.
knob head.
Okay, which one would that be? That one in here?
Yeah. Yeah.
The one
The one in
face
front
or the one facing away?
Yeah, the one facing away.
Okay.
That
So that's the party. What else do we need? Then the government organization.
I think the one that your arrow is on now.
That would be the other black one, yeah.
Huh?
That's the government organization. What position does the governor have? He's the head of the government?
Yes.
Is anybody on top of him?
Not really. He's like the president of the state. Like, you know how the president, there's still like
Yeah.
the state senate and all that stuff, but he's really the head of the state.
Okay. And what is problematic? Is that within the government? And what is problematic here?
Everything. Yeah,
So choose
it's just
something.
Racial inequality.
Racial inequality. Okay. Choose a figurine to represent racial inequality.
I'm gonna choose the brown one all the way in the back.
That one?
Yes.
We have two brown ones, so I just give you maybe both. Or one.
I like the bigger one.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. So we have the governor, we have the government, we have the party of the governor, we have you as the client, and then we have racial inequality. Is there a department in the government that, with a minister or something like that, that is in charge of, what do you call that, racism?
Oh, not really. And if there was, I'm sure the governor got rid of it.
Uh-huh. Okay. We just start here and see where it leads us. Okay. Now tell me how to place the figurine.
I like the governor in the middle, facing out towards, yeah, to keep turning. That's good.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
And
Then is his party here.
yeah, you can put the party on the left of him.
So
Next to
that is his left side, but I have to swap it here over. So now you see, yeah, now you see he's on the left side, right?
Yep. Yep. That looks good.
Okay. Then we have, now this is almost hidden. Now we have the, what did we say? That was the government, the organization.
Good. Yeah. That goes on the right of him.
On the right of him. Where's this looking? Like this or somewhere else?
They're all looking in the same direction. They're looking the
do
same
they?
as the governor. Yeah.
Like this and like
Yeah.
this. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you?
Yep. I'm behind the one that's on the right.
Like here.
But further back. Further
That
back.
would be the government organization, right?
Yeah. Further back. There we go. Yep.
And then the brown one.
I feel like the brown one is right behind the governor. Like up against him, behind him.
Looking at where?
That looks good.
Like this. All right. So now everyone, what is the first thing that you see here? What is the most obvious thing. Always start there.
Let's say that they're all looking in the same direction.
Correct. Like literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the next step here?
To put something to represent what they're looking at.
Yes. So who would that be?
The little brown kind of triangular one in the back.
Mhm. That one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now what has changed? Is there a movement in your figurine here?
I don't feel like that changed anything.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So now you are representing the figurine I have my finger on.
Right.
See what comes up.
I feel like it wants to go next to the other little brown figurine
How does it go there?
to move behind there.
But
It
how?
goes it goes around behind
Which way?
to the right.
That would be here.
Yeah.
Okay, I do that very slowly and you say stop. How does that feel?
It feels a little bit kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to hurry up and go get there. Like hiding. Like they're hiding.
Okay. So where does it want to go here?
Next to the other one, the other brown one.
Which side?
That side.
Looking at?
The same direction.
Right. So now we are at the same situation we've been before.
Mm-hmm.
Try it again. Place another figurine where they're looking at.
The beige one on the left side.
So it's a beige one on this side?
Yeah.
That one?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Right. Okay. Now how is that?
That makes the we need to move. I can't remember which one it is. The one that's to the right of the governor.
The one to the right of the governor is the organization.
Okay, what's the other one?
The other one is the party. This is the party.
Okay, so the party needs to move over.
Forward?
No, to this, not forward, to the side. A little bit more. And then the governor needs to go over there.
Over here.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
And now the beige one can come forward a little bit. Yeah.
Like this.
Feels better.
How's that for you?
It feels good. It feels better.
There a movement?
Not yet.
How about them?
Feels like safer.
And here?
Same. Feels safer.
How about here?
It feels more like kind of like they're being seen when they don't want to be.
Was it better before or now? Here, this position.
Is it better?
Was it? Yeah. Is it better now? Before now or before the movement?
For who? For the governor?
Yeah. Where my fingers are.
Yeah, the governor felt better in the other position.
In the other position, not here. So what is he feeling here?
Anxious.
Anxious.
Mm.
And the party?
Same thing.
And now this?
Doesn't really feel anything. Just kind of
Mhm.
neutral.
What about this figurine?
It feels strong.
Mhm. Is there a word or a sentence the white figurine wants to say?
Kind of like I see everything.
Mhm.
I see all of you.
Okay, say that. I see all of you.
I see all of you.
How is that for the green figurine?
I don't think the green figurine likes it.
What does it feel? How does it feel?
Uncomfortable.
Huh.
Like it doesn't want to be seen.
Mhm. And here?
Same.
And here?
It still doesn't feel very connected. It doesn't seem to care.
Mhm. Now, interestingly, the white figurine has changed and looks at the government only.
Hmm.
Mhm. And the government looks away, so like here or here, right?
Mhm.
The governor is the only one who looks at the white one and the brown figurine. What can that be?
I know it feels like truth. Don't know. Justice, truth.
Mhm. Say for the white figurine to the black one, I belong to you.
I belong to you.
I see you.
I see you.
How's that for this?
It just doesn't have, it's just neutral. It's like it doesn't care either
Mhm.
way. It's
Mhm.
unaffected.
Mhm. Does this want to go in the direction they are looking?
We could try it.
Okay. One step. How does that feel?
It doesn't feel like that's where it wants to go.
Okay. Where would justice want to go otherwise?
Towards the little brown ones.
Now, first I have to look there. So what do the little brown ones want to say?
I need you.
Say, please,
Please,
look at me.
please look at me.
Please look at us.
Please look at us.
We need you.
We need you.
How's that here?
That feels good to hear.
I want to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
Is there another movement? So remember, when you say, please, I need you, what relationship are you looking at?
To the parent,
Yes. Who's moving in this relationship?
the child.
Only, yeah? So that would be a big mistake to now divert the white figurine towards the brown figurine. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to find out if they want to move. So is there a movement?
Yeah, they both want to move.
And then we take it step by step. You say stop. How far do they go? All the way?
Yeah, all the way.
Very good. How is that for them?
It feels better, safer.
How's this for him? Here?
It doesn't feel like there's anything he can do about it.
Does it feel light or heavy?
Angry.
And here?
I'd like to move next to the white one.
Which side?
Mm-hmm.
This side?
No, I want to look at the little brown ones too.
So you want to go on that side?
Oh. Actually, I want to stand next to them.
There?
And facing the same direction that they're facing.
Like this?
Yeah, that feels good.
All right. Say yes.
Yes.
And what is here?
It feels good.
Mm-hmm. Say yes, I'm here for you.
Yes, I'm here for you.
Any change here? Movement?
It wants to move back next to the other one.
Back.
Next to the, in the position next to the other figurine. Yeah. Next
Look,
to it.
looking where?
I think looking at the other black figurine.
Like there.
Mm-hmm.
And this one?
The other one wants to look the same way too.
Over there?
No, not that one. The other black one.
The other block? To look
Yeah,
over there.
wants to be. Yeah.
Okay. And this
And
one?
then wants to turn and look at the other two.
Okay. Like this.
Mm-hmm.
Justice is still looking at the government.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it belongs together.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah. So we leave it here.
Mhm.
So what have we learned here? Tell me something that you have observed, Suman.
I think for me, a little bit of it is just sort of understanding and being very mindful of direction and move, like not only where they're looking, but also I think I keep getting caught up in the order.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the movement of, you know, like even from this political perspective, which was a little bit more of a broader thing for me to be with, because it wasn't so, maybe because I wasn't so connected with it. So even though I understood the systems that were involved, I didn't feel connected to it.
So you as a facilitator, what have you observed? If
That
you
I
would be
wasn't
in the role.
I wasn't present with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So a few observations in this organization constellation. First of all, it has evolved into a parent-child situation, which we apply the same words we use in mother-child, father-child movements. Same, nothing different. When these has been united, there was movement in the other three figurines and also in Kimberly's. Yeah, so everything moved, which is great. So we have definitely found a movement of the souls that we're going towards healing, reconciliation. Yeah. Otherwise, the other figurines wouldn't have moved. Now, the end picture is that the government and the governor together looking at the party instead of looking forward where justice appeared. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they are kind of, what the picture tells is they are kind of revolving in itself, like in an organization that's revolving in itself, if you will. Yeah. Yeah. They are kind of like a closed circle. We have also noticed that the white figurine, despite all our effort to focus on the brown ones, is still looking at the government, which is clearly telling us that there is no way to neglect that the justice belongs to the government. And as long as government cannot look at justice, which it couldn't, yeah, there will be no big breakthrough, you know, if you will. That will be the reconciliation that you are looking for a real change. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I observe here. And because
Yeah.
that wasn't possible, we of course leave it here, right?
I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And so you can see an organization constellation, even if it's just a demonstration, even a political that we are not involved in, can already, with the method of family constellation, not only reveal structures and dynamics that are interesting to us, but we can actually also apply some healing movements here. Yeah. Why can we do that? Because Kimberly, as a member of the society, is part of this organization.
Mhm.
No? All right. Okay, wonderful. So let me go back to the slides for our last ones that we have. Now we're going through a couple of other modalities or little tools you can use in one-on-one sessions and in systemic coaching. Breathing exercise are one of it. I just urge you to use that what you're comfortable with. That is just an add-on. You don't need that. Where you really need the breath is maybe to get your client into alpha state. That's probably where you want to focus on it. Other than that, it is just an add-on that might come handy. Yeah. So when it comes handy, deep awareness of breathing into the belly, like what we call the yogic breath, is always super impactful on the client. Yeah. To let go of tensions and everything. So it would be a guide, guiding nostril inhales deep into the belly, and then exhale out by squeezing really the abdominal muscles and really squeezing the breath out so it completely exhales. Ideally through the nose, but it can also exhale through the mouth. 3, 4 of this deep belly breath are shifting the mindset of the client, I would say, or the emotional state. Open mouth breathing is great, especially these open mouth exhales. This force, we also call that a sigh. We are always working with that in family constellation. We are watching our representative, we are watching especially our client. If you see the sigh of release with this most open and open mouth breath, like an yeah, and that is a sign that something has moved, and that is maybe a good idea to break it up here to conclude the constellation. No, and for a guided meditation or coming into a meditative state, it is super good to let your client just with closed eyes observe their natural breath. Just focus on the natural breath. And then they have a few moments where they are clear out of the, like where they are not connected with their mind activities. And that's what you want when you start to work with them. Yeah. So when you have a client, especially in organization constellation, you have busy people who are used to get things done. Yeah, often. They often have a hard time to just relax, to really relax their mind. So then I would probably use this exercise, observing the natural, before I start to work with them. So they can come, they have this, they have a minute or two to get out of the busy mind, to relax and focus on the movements that are about to appear in the constellation. And then we have guided meditation. We use guided meditation in groups, of course, a lot, to get the group together, to unite them, to all connect them to their family system. That's always, if you have time for that, it's a great way to start a group session. In one-on-one sessions, it's also good to use guided meditation. In some cases, so if you want your client to connect with their family system, for example, great. Something similar to what I have on the website, the gift, some kind of guided meditation is ideal. You can make your own, of course, right? You don't need to stick to a specific one. You just need to know what you want to achieve with your meditation, and always choose pictures for your client that are, I don't want to say positive, but they are not discerning. Not this. That's not what I want to say. They are not which is controversial. Yeah. So use clear pictures that are a little bit more on the inviting side. Yeah. So you don't lose your client. They like to follow you. Yeah. It doesn't always need to be a sunny day and butterflies on a meadow. You know, I remember a meditation that Bert did a lot at the beginning of a workshop to go down in a kind of a dungeon situation, you know. So you can use these pictures as well, but they still need to be inviting. So you need to guide them, and they're not scary, right? You need to take them by the hand. It's a guided meditation is literally taking your client by the hand and leading them to a terrain that you know and they don't. That's a picture of a guided meditation. Getting support from a family member is a great guided meditation, of an ancestor. For organization constellation, for example, guided meditation to the founder of the organization to get their support would be brilliant start of a systemic coaching. Yeah. Connecting with the inner child is a meditation that you definitely want to use in a one-on-one session when you're working on trauma release, and any kind of trauma. Letting go of foreign energies or giving back. We do that also in a guided meditation when you let your client visualize to give back things. That's what I observed when Kimberly was facilitating with you, Suman, to give back what don't belong to me, give back what. That is the part of the family constellation where you are actually guiding. It's kind of a guide, yeah? It's not like you're not asking, do you want to give something back? Yeah? Or what do you want to do? More open question. And then your representative would say, I want to give back. That's a constellation, yeah? If you say to them, picture to give back what doesn't belong to you, take what belongs to you, that's a guided meditation. Even within the constellation, yeah? So always be aware of what you are doing. Are you facilitating a constellation, or are you guiding your client to visualize something specific that they haven't seen before, right? That is a guided meditation or a guided visualization, okay? Releasing family members, that was like with your ex-partner, Suman, that is kind of, that was kind of a little bit on the guided meditation side, yeah, the constellation. And then we talk about energy, emotional, and spiritual healing a little bit. So use your own methods if you have some, or the ones from module 4, if you would like to incorporate that in your one-on-one sessions, even in systemic coaching, of course, when your client is up to that. But always make sure you are not mixing it up with the family constellation. Always keep this family constellation separate from it. So you either use your own methodologies, whatever you use, before or after, or when you use it in the middle, make sure it's not mixed up. It's just you break something up, then you use it, and then you start with or you continue with the family constellation. So if you would, for example, let's take the guided meditation that Kimberly used to release your ex-boyfriend, or to cut the bonds with your ex-boyfriend, to exchange, you know, the energies belong to you, belongs to you, belong to me, belong to me, all of that, then it's good. Then after you did that, you continue with the family constellation. So then you say, how does it feel? Where do you look now? You know, where do you want to move now? And if Kimberly would say, yep, that feels good, I'm actually looking away, and I'm actually turned around already, and I'm actually stepping away, then that's the constellation part. Yeah. So you don't need to, so if you feel the need of a guided visualization or meditation within a family constellation, keep it short and be aware when you start it and when you end it. So you can continue to facilitate, to have so the guided meditation has not the impact, of course, on the family system as a family constellation. The family constellation is moving the source. The guided meditation is a preparation for it. Yeah, it's like it's the preparation. It's a tool. It's a maybe an amplifier or a catalyst or something like that, but it's not a constellation, no? And it's not replacing constellation either. So that's us for this module 5, one-on-one sessions and systemic coaching. Some more words to that. Stick to the time frame in one-on-one sessions. If you say this is an hour, then make it an hour. You know, don't make it longer. The people have booked an hour. Even if they want it longer, you know, your time is not, you know, your time is worth it to be respected. Yeah. So you just not go on and on and on. And also, it doesn't make the one-on-one session better just because it's longer. Yeah. So just be aware of that. Plan some time at the end of the session for the closing, about 5 minutes. Doesn't need to be too long, so you don't have to rush it. That's also for one-on-one session important, for group sessions not. In group sessions, you just say, we leave it here. You might talk to the client for a brief check-in or not, and you go ahead with the next one. In a one-on-one session, you want to take a little bit of time with your client, make sure that they're out of alpha state if you have done a regression, yeah? But avoid to talk about the session in retrospective. You would not do that. If you have anything to say about the session, make it part of the session, yeah? It's not the aftermath of the session that you're talking about. It's when you see something, when you want to conclude, like say a figurine board constellation, then you say, okay, so we leave it here. What we have seen is blah blah blah. That's part of the session. And then we say, okay, our time is up. Is there any questions? That's the closing. Yeah. Okay. You can make a plan with the client where to go from here, not necessarily to book another, and you would never suggest that anyhow. You would, you know, you would tell the client when you want to book another completion, whenever you're ready, you know, do that. You can say, don't book it before the next 3 weeks or 3 months even, that's up to you. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, yeah. It's always good to have a bit of distance, you know, within, but it's if the client is desperate to want another constellation, why not? I mean, I wouldn't not say no to them. Yeah, as long as they don't become therapy junkies, book you twice a week. You know, this is not family constellation. Yeah. They better go and see a psychotherapist or somebody else who is doing this kind of jobs. Yeah. You don't miss out on this opportunity to ask for a review. You might even have a little sheet where they can quickly fill in, you know, about the session before they leave. Just whatever works for you. It's always good to have some references together when you want to market your service. You schedule the next appointment only when they ask it, right? Not when you're not saying, okay, you need 3 more appointments. When do you want to come? Right? That's not what we do in family constellation, right? Okay, and then a few troubleshooting issues that I would like you to be aware of. The client cannot go out of alpha state. That would be after a regression. Yeah. Then you have to find out, is it true that they are still in alpha state or not? You find that out when you ask them to be able to open their eyes. If they cannot open their eyes, they are still in alpha state, then you would go just 2 steps back where you know, just 2 steps, not the whole way, just 2 step backs and guide them out again. Yeah, make them aware of the weight on the chair, and you will see that will get them out of alpha state. You just maybe rushed something, or you missed a step, or they didn't hear you for some reason. Something like that has happened. Yeah, so you just go briefly back and lead out of the session again. What do we do when the client is not happy? We know that by now. We are not there to make them happy anyhow. Yeah, that's totally up to them. But you can talk about it, and you can tell them, as long as a movement is happening, this works. Yeah, this constellation works. That doesn't mean that the movement that we see now is the end goal of the client. And sometimes things getting worse before they get better. That's just, everybody knows that. Yeah. So just because the client is not happy after the session doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It has nothing to do with you. And is certainly there for him or her to move on one way or the other. You might find that if you feel the client is not unhappy because of the constellation, because of something else, you can check if they have left the morphogenetic field. They may still carry the unhappiness of a representative with them. Yeah, possible. Not very often, though. The way we work is when we say we leave it here, then you're disconnecting to the morphogenetic field. And because we are just exchanging information with the morphogenetic field, yeah, there is nothing left. Yeah. So it is rare that would be actually that would actually happen. So, but if it happens, then what I would suggest is to make a new constellation, a brief one constellation, and work with the client, because he would be attached to the emotion that he picked up from this representative. Yeah. And that would be his own issue, not the one that he was representing. It was like a trigger for his own trauma. But if you have no time for that, that's fine. Then you say, well, there were a couple of things that have come up now that might clear up over the next weeks, or when they don't, you are welcome to book another appointment. You know, so you would deal like this with it. Sometimes the client's not happy because their expectations are not met, haven't met in your session. Then you just talk to them about expectations. Yeah. And you cannot expect a certain outcome in this line of work. It's just not how we work. Yeah, we work with the morphogenetic field. You just repeat that to your client. Yeah, that everything is happening for a reason, and the family system is sending them, and they will be happy, even if he doesn't feel happiness at this moment. And just refer them back to the board, the figurine, and say, look, you have seen it. Yeah, they were happy. Because that's when you stop, you know, when you leave it there, your constellation. You can also just tell your client when you feel they are a bit uneasy about it, or explain that the movement is continuing and that he will reap the fruits of this constellation at a later time. Yeah, so you just have to give it some time. In the very, very, very rare event that you had to break it up in the middle of a constellation because you ran out of time, and therefore the client is not happy, of course, you can make a new appointment and suggest that to do that. Yeah? That doesn't mean you pick up the same constellation, because you know the constellation is still moving on, and by the time the client comes back, there will be something else, maybe. But the client thinks that, you know, you are continuing, and that makes them happy. Yeah, and don't leave them unfulfilled and uneasy, and with this feeling of something is not completed. Okay, and then when you want to follow up with your client, you can send emails, you can invite them to your other events, to the friendship circle or any other group you are leading. If they want to make another appointment, let them look at other offers you have, sign up if you have a newsletter, sign up for that, and of course to leave a review. Whatever you want to do out of these ones is great in a one-on-one session because you have them right there, the client, and before they actually go out of your door, you can still, work on how do you say that, client bonding or something like that, and on your bond towards your client. I have these figurine boards that I showed you, I think, before for sale. As I said, I'm not quite sure how much postage is it to the US. I think I've sent one before. It was probably 75 New Zealand dollars or something, but I have them. So if you fancy them, I'm happy to inquire how much it costs to send it up to you. They're really lovely made. And now the only thing is left for me to say congratulations to you to made it that far, right? You have finished 42 hours of teaching content. That's a lot. And you got all the information to facilitate a family constellation, the method of Bert Hellinger now. So all you need now is to repeat the teaching content, watch the video recordings, and read about Bert Hellinger's family constellation and watch YouTube videos to memorize the information, so they become, available to you at all times. And then these information need to be practiced. Only with practice and experience you can turn this information into knowledge. Yeah. Theoretical knowledge is something that doesn't exist. That's only information. Then you live your life in the light of the orders of love, your own life, and you will gain wisdom. And finally, continue to personally grow by working on your issues and emotions, and you will drop any tendencies to judge or criticize yourself and others, and then you will become love. And the state of unconditional love and compassion is a state from where you can heal yourself and others. That's the desirable state. Okay, very good. So, yay. Great job. And so what are we doing now? Of course, that is just the beginning, not the end of anything. It's just the foundation. It's like you build a house and you are all excited about decorating the house and, having your first party and inviting your friends and family over. But in fact, the house is not there yet. We have only laid the concrete slab. We have only put the pillars in, right? Now you have to actually build your house. You have to do the studs, you have to build the walls, the insulation, the windows, you have to paint it, you have to have the electrics, the plumbing, everything, the roof, yeah? That all needs to be built now before you can decorate the house and invite friends and family in, okay? And the next year is building this house, yeah? So you have the open workshops where you have the voucher codes for to come on. You have the practice workshop, the training gatherings. I try to time it so you might not come to each event. That's fine, but I try to time it that at least there are a few events. At least every other event is kind of suitable, more or less, to your time zone. And then you have the self-study time. Read, rewatch videos, and everything you see from now on, everything you read, you rewatch the video recordings, you watch Bert Hellinger videos, you go to other constellators, you gain all the practical experience you can possibly have. You now look with different eyes. The eyes you would have looked at it 5 months ago, they don't exist anymore. Yeah. Now you see, and you should see, where's the order here? Where's the order disrupted? How does the facilitator pick that up? is this a facilitating, or is that a guided meditation, or is that or is that a regression? Now you know all these things, and you can put them into context, and you can also decide if that is good work or not so good work when you watch others, and where you want to position yourself in the future, right? So there's a lot to experience, a lot to observe, a lot to learn and gain knowledge that is starting literally now. All right? And of course, get your friends and family together and practice, practice, practice. Yeah, don't shy away from that. Okay, I would like you to have the last words. So what would you like to ask, say, comment?
Thank you, Maya. This has been so good. And yes, practice. I needed practice, 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 practice. But thank you for gifting this to the US and just the opportunity to learn all of this and be a part of it, and just how you fold in the practice workshops with the open workshops, and just getting the differences of just showing up in a different way. So just, I have so much gratitude for you, and thank you.
Thank you so much to be on here and do this work. I can see that it is spreading in LA, far and wide in the future. I'm very happy about that. Very, very happy. Thank you. And Kimberly?
Yeah,
Nothing. I have an interruption again. This is just not stopping. So
become
you
a
have to
facilitator.
repeat it again. Sorry, I was frozen.
Sorry. I was just saying that, I felt at the beginning of the year, end of last year, beginning of this year, I just felt so compelled. Like I just had to, there was like a fire in me to become a facilitator. And I don't even know how I found you. I was just Googling,
Yeah.
we're just starting a new one, and it was perfect. It just felt so meant to be. And when you had to start with the practice workshops, doing the practice workshops, and I did my first one, and I had quite a few people. I think I had like 11 people showing up, and I was nervous. I was like, am I going to be able to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. And then I knew, I'm like, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done several practice workshops since then, and I love it. I enjoy every single minute. Like it's fun for me. I really enjoy it so much. And I'm just grateful that you were able to share your experience and your knowledge. Like you had firsthand experience. So can't get much closer, to the source than you and what you've witnessed, and the time you've put in studying what Bert and Sophie taught. And so just grateful to have you as a teacher, and that it just felt meant to be.
Wonderful, Kimberly. I'm grateful to have you as students. I'm very, very proud that you are able to put all this theoretical knowledge already into practice, and that you feel good about it. And now it's really about continuing, being more aware what you do, being more aware of the structures of your work, of the orders of love, how strict you're following it, where you divert from it and come back and find ways to come back to it, and refining all of this to become an outstanding facilitator, which I'm very sure that you both will.
No.
All right, I see you in the next live event, eh?
Thank you, Maya, and thank you, Suman. It was really
Thank you, Kimberly.
You can still practice together, of course. You can.
We need to find time too.
I know we always say it, and we're like,
yeah.
But I definitely see you in one of the workshops.
We will.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.